Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Written Writ Ralph talking to you from our show here, Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of the apple and share it with you. Folks, today we have an all-star cast of a bunch of beautiful role-playing things. And, you know, when we get into the role-play aspect of things, or the D&D aspect of things, the Vampire the Masquerade aspect of things, I get excited. So let's get started and let's start having some fun. Folks, introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'll go ahead and start. I'm Casey Reardon. I am one of the producers of RP Jesters, an actual play TTRPG podcast that releases every Monday. We kind of specialize in 1 hour-long episodes, so we can kind of fully fit into your day. You don't have to sit there for 4 hours to listen to a show, which is kind of what we stand by. That, along with the fact that we're a variety show. We play a variety of different RPGs. Our current game right now is Vampire the Masquerade, GM'd by the lovely Jonas Tintenzer, who is to my left. But we've also played Dungeons & Dragons, Monster of the Week. We've done Scum and Villainy, Delta Green. Like, we've done a whole bunch of different shows, including some original ones. So if you're ever looking for an interesting show, we probably have one for you.
It sounds like you have an interesting show for all occasions. I like that. I like the fact that you guys aren't just one thing. It's a multiple of things.
We get a wide range.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many things out there that how could we not? You know, you don't go to a bakery and you get an eclair every time. Sometimes you need a Napoleon. Sometimes you need, like...
Some people get stuck in one thing.
That was my main thing when we started, and they were like, "What are you expecting to as a part of being the show?" And I was like, "I want to try a lot of different games, thanks. And if we make a podcast in the meantime, that's cool."
And we've definitely done that. Like, I think I was definitely guilty of getting stuck in one particular game for a very long time. And when the idea for this show kind of came up, it was an opportunity to branch out into lesser known games, and we have plenty in the works of what we are planning to do moving forward.
That's great to hear. Now, who are the players in this game? Go ahead, Rachel. You can start.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of all a mix of GMs and players. In terms of Midnight Gravity, which is
our current Vampire the Masquerade game.
I am one of the players. I am Mars, who is a Toreador. I guess we could just go like that. In terms of our current game.
Go ahead, John.
I'll pass it off to Andrew.
Oh, there we go.
Andrew, yeah.
Pass it down. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm Andrew. I have not GM'd yet. Emphasis on the yet. But I play Antonio, the lovely Hakata of our coterie.
He's not lovely.
He's a sweetie.
He's
One
lovable,
charisma, Andrew.
lovable.
Yeah, one charisma,
Lovable.
but he's trying his
Lovable.
damnedest. But no, I'm here for games, and so I do. And then over here we got Jonas.
Oh,
Pass
okay.
Casey, skip him.
Yeah,
Okay. Hi, I'm Jonas Tintenzer. I'm a writer. Dirty Thin Blood. I'm a writer, game designer. I publish games sometimes. I write things, and I'm running Midnight Gravity. I fell in love with Vampire from online shows like LA by Night, and then got to join a game run by a friend of mine that really inspired me. And it's been an incredible, cathartic, and very fulfilling show. And I also edit the show. I'm the main editor for all the actual episodes.
Oh yeah.
I do not envy you.
I like it.
Jonas,
It's good. It's good creative work.
They do very much enjoy it.
Yeah.
that's what they tell themselves to.
I was gonna say there was a long time there where I was sitting there going, I enjoy editing. Then after a while, I was like,
I mean, if I was editing like business conferences, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. But editing these guys is like I get to play the show twice. It's great.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Okay. And Ray, why don't you introduce yourself? So
we're gonna skip Seth too.
No, we gotta pass it to Seth.
Gets nothing. Sorry, we got too many people in the Jesters.
We are.
You're in my position, so I thought you were me. And, you
And I'm written Ralph.
there you go. Go ahead, Seth.
I'm Seth. I play on the show. I'm mostly a player. Do some music stuff, and we put that in the show, and it's fun.
It's good music.
In the
Wait. You guys are playing the game, and you play music. So you're doing the theme song or the music for the game.
Yeah.
not during the show, like it's recorded. I record something and then I give it to Jonas, and Jonas puts it in to the beginning and end of the show.
I know, Seth, you see the keyboard behind you.
Do like a classic silent movie.
Yeah, it's just like when they clang.
Seth has a whole studio. He's running the sound effects live, actually. Yeah,
that would be really.
You got to do it
intense.
once. Come on.
When we get a live show, when we do our first
Yeah,
live show, Seth, you're
there
doing
you
all
go.
the
Give him a
Really
soundboard,
challenge
yeah.
Seth.
I think if we do an NCD live,
sure.
I'll get a little keyboard
Oh yeah.
and sing my little song.
We'll get you some jingle bells.
And
too.
NCD is our Monster of the Week Law and Order
Christmas
parody.
yeah.
Christmas special parody
Yeah.
that we do.
The Naughty
and also,
Crimes
I guess,
division.
in terms of positions, I'm also one of the producers of RP Jesters. But we actually did.
to say that Seth has written all of our intro themes and outros for the show and done a really amazing job.
Dude, that is excellent because getting yourself some music sometimes is one of the most difficult things.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah, and we switched those up. It wasn't one with Seth. Usually we do a new theme for each campaign that we do. So Seth,
It's new music for each.
broad
Yeah.
broad range of genres and stuff. Seth does an incredible job adapting to all that.
The question, Seth, is when are you going to release the album or the soundtrack? Because if you're doing all this music, you might as well release it, so people can enjoy it.
I mean, I would, but it's all written with the intent to be an intro and outro. So what you're getting is like 40 seconds. Or maybe a minute.
I
A
mean,
minute with a fade out.
just real fast before we do jump to Ray, just to note on that, the character I play in Midnight Gravity is a musician, so I've been writing music.
Yes, Rachel has also written some music.
As
Nice.
kind of a lyrical music, and as a kind of a goal for myself as a creative, I wanted to actually put out a small album based on music that I wrote, for the show. So that might come, who knows.
See that now you can do a nice collab there. Release an album with your music and your music, and
Seth has helped
everybody's
with
happy.
music, so yeah. Yeah.
There you
I've
go.
done I've recorded some instruments for Rachel and done some production stuff, but that's really, if she wanted to make an album, that would be her.
That is my goal.
Yeah.
Her. Okay. All right. So Ray, your turn. Introduce yourself so we have the whole spectrum here and we know who everybody is. Go for it.
Right on. Ray Jameson, also known online as DM Ray, DM being short for Dungeon Master. I am just looking at the clock here, in 25 hours time, I'll be launching the first comic book I've ever written. It's based off of the first homebrew campaign I've ever run as a Dungeon Master.
Cool.
Awesome.
The only thing that's different is I took my players' characters out and I made my own characters based off of said players. I'm very excited to finally get this going. This has been 2 years in the making, and just to see that I'm just at the finish line. Well, I shouldn't say finish line. I'm just getting started once it launches. But to finally reach that point is definitely a huge accomplishment for myself. I was very fortunate. Shout out to Philip Russert of Philbo Publishing to take me on. This is the first time I've written a comic, and he liked it enough. He decided to take a chance on me. So I'm super grateful for that.
That's rad. That's so
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's so
Congrats.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I gotta say, it's an interesting concept. What made you decide to take the characters of your player characters and change it up a little bit?
2 reasons. The first one is, I say it in sarcasm. I didn't want to get sued by stealing somebody else's characters that they claim to make. So that one's a joke.
Okay, I can see that. Okay.
The other
Intellectual
one
property.
is the characters I put in are based off of people I know. So the story consists of, it's about 4 friends. They all meet up at their childhood stomping grounds at their own town. It's called Ivywood, and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's an incident involving a local drug issue, and I'm sure we've all reached an age where you can look back and you could say, I really wish I could see a certain circle of friends a lot more than I do right now. And anytime you do, it's probably a fraction of what the shenanigans you used to do when you were younger, even if it was something as simple as like meeting up at a restaurant. But when you leave, you're very recharged. Like, you can really say to yourself, I really needed that. It was good to see them. This mini series, it's 3 issues total, and the whole thing takes place over one night. It's supposed to be an homage to that level of camaraderie with any circle of friends that you can relate a similar experience to.
Of course, man. I can see that you're actually diving into it, and I can feel it. It feels like you're like, okay, let's take this campaign and let's put it out there. And I like when people do that. We have some friends from Shadowmare Comics. They did the same thing. They took their campaign and turned it into a comic. We also have our friends from Horizon's End, and they took their campaign and made it into a video game.
Oh, that's very cool.
Really cool.
It's really neat.
That's my dream.
Wow.
It makes sense. We have all this stuff, all this material that we're doing, and might as well use it for something.
Yeah.
Are you okay if I show off a cover?
Yeah,
Please.
Share screen. I'm getting used to this StreamYard share. There we go. That should pop up in a second. There we are.
Whew.
Oh, it looks so cool.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So that was drawn by a fella named Jimbo Salgado. He's done a lot of art for Batman Unhinged was one art he drew for. And the fellow who colored it has colored over 100 issues of Spawn.
Whoa.
That's sick.
That
So,
cape looks familiar.
I just asked these people online, and I got some yeses and I got some nos, and I'm beside myself for all the yeses that I got. That's for sure. But that is the aforesaid friends, essentially. I'll stop sharing this here. There we go.
Amazing cover. Love it. I have seen a couple of your pieces. You gave me a bit of information, and I like what I've seen. Your covers look amazing. The art looks great. And the story, from what I've been able to gather from putting together all the stuff that I've found, sounds good. That and the video that I saw.
the most, I think the biggest thing I'm excited about is the final issue. Each issue is an act, beginning, middle, and end. The ending has a very satisfying payoff with all of the build-up leading up towards it. So unfortunately, I can't really say much more about it, but I'm really excited to finally release this, at least the first issue so far, to the public and get it off my chest, for lack of better wording.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, it's amazing to get it out there. Believe me, I've been working on my comic for a while, and it's just a journey, especially if you're paying for everything yourself. Which I can understand why people do Kickstarters, but at the same time, Kickstarters are usually once you got a lot of it done already. Well, at least in my opinion, that's where it should be. Even though you can use the Kickstarter to get your project moving forward.
Mine is fully funded, complete with 4 variant covers. And everything's lettered, everything's colored, everything's done. The funds I would be getting for this one is to just get issue number 2 rolling. It obviously, second issue will not take nearly as long. It's not going to take 2 years. Ideally, in my mind, I would have it done like yesterday and be able to release that too. But I'm shooting for 6 months, maybe a little later, but I don't want it to be too much. There also has to be strategic timing. There are times when you should and should not crowdfund, depending on the month, when you look at statistics. But either way, issue 2 will not take nearly as long.
I tell people all the time, especially when we're talking here from the show, nobody's making money off of Kickstarter, unless you're one of the big companies. But most people, what are trying to do is just give you the next book.
Yes.
Get it done, get it out there, get their dreams and make them into reality. And that's what you're supporting when you support Kickstarters, folks.
Yes, I The reason I did only 3 issues was simply because I'm a first-time writer. I'm on the other side of the comic book. I surrounded myself with as much talent as I could, but it's up to the public to say whether or not what I'm writing is decent. I think it would be very foolish to say, okay, I'm going to start this monthly series and see how far it goes, canceled after issue 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather do something that's complete, a full package. People can see it for what it is, as opposed to, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how long it's going. It's you see the light at the end of the tunnel of when the payoff happens and everything. So nice and put together, and from there we'll see.
So what you're telling me is you don't want to be like 90s comics where you have a couple of issues and you wait 10 years to get the next issue.
Well, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that because Dan Kemp, that colors to the Image I showed you, he came in the second wave of Image Comics talent. So he has lots of good stories about that kind of stuff. There's 2 different types of artists. There was ones that could hit deadlines, and then there was ones that had entourages that were very popular and liked to live that life. Amazing stories, that's for sure.
That's why all hell broke loose in the 90s, and the whole thing crashed.
Yeah, that was I think what happened, it was bittersweet. One of the good things was there was new life injected into the comic industry.
Definitely.
If you were to compare a comic book to like a pastry, the art is basically all the icing. The problem with it is when you brought in your McFarlanes, your Jim Lees, and eventually they went into Image, it wasn't just icing, it was icing with decals and icing with candles and icing. Eventually, people forgot the cake underneath the icing, and things got a little too sweet, for lack of better wording. It's just a bowl of icing after a while. Some could compare it to, like, the art's so cool, but I'm not reading anything. I'm just looking at these cool pictures, essentially, unfortunately. So there was definitely a big learning curve through the 90s. Me personally, in the late 90s, I was kind of turned off for comics for a little bit, but by the early mid 2000s, with what Brian Michael Bendis brought back into it, it became more of story again. There seemed to be a better balance. It's almost like the art escalated and the story struggled to catch up, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. And you're right.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of the other problems was that you had this quick success of all these people, and they didn't know what to do with it. And all of a sudden projects started to get delayed because they were out enjoying themselves instead of trying to get the next book out.
Yes, that's a funny thing. You give a young person who's not used to a lot of money. It's you could cripple an individual with a large amount of wealth. Everybody thinks, well, if you have this money, you're set. A lot of people, you can look up a lot of case studies of people winning the lottery, and it actually, they wish they never won the money. Their lives are actually worse. So it's interesting to see these young upcomers with a lot of skill. Suddenly they have to juggle all these responsibilities financially and socially and everything else, and then also hit a deadline on a comic. Suddenly it's very different when you're not hungry and producing work just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So we have our next contestant, or I should say guest over here, Royal Collectibles. Bob is here to talk about Free Comic Book Day, which is Saturday, and a lot of beautiful things that Royal Collectibles is going to be doing. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell the people all the beautiful stuff? Go for it.
Hey guys, I'm Bob. I work at Royal Collectibles. We're located in Forest Hills on Metropolitan Avenue and Selfridge Street. It's like 2 blocks off of Woodhaven Boulevard.
Yep.
Like long blocks.
Queens block.
And Ralph's been here plenty of times. We'll be here for this Free Comic Book Day, I assume.
Yep, I am here.
And the basis of Free Comic Book Day is to give out books and get people interested in comic books. It's always my favorite holiday for a comic book store.
It is a holiday.
It's you have Batman Day, Superman Day, and they have Halloween stuff. But Free Comic Book Day is like a second Christmas for me. You're giving out
Very
stuff,
cool.
and the most important part of it is you're giving it to the right people. You're giving it to people who are new to comics in general. It's a lot of young kids. They're coming in, and not everybody could afford weekly comics. They're expensive, and it's a great time for families to come in. You got 3 or 4 kids, they could run and get whatever they want, and we'll have a big selection of free stuff. Some of them are behind me. I'll give you a quick peek.
Oh, definitely. We get a preview here. Oh,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Nice.
Ooh.
And it runs the gamut of the age range. There's stuff for the regular collector, more adult level stuff that Marvel and DC put out, and then there's stuff for children and everything in between. We do pretty big sales. We're doing something special because it's also May 4th.
May the
So
fourth be with you.
There you go.
Exactly.
Perfect combo.
This is the
we're
perfect
definitely going to have a
comic book day, man.
yeah, it's great. So we're definitely going to have a sale on Star Wars stuff. We've also been, if you follow us on Instagram, we've been putting out a lot of sets, like complete runs of stories and arcs, and we're going to have a big
Awesome.
sale on those outside.
Nice.
And a raffle. I'm not allowed to say what yet.
Ooh.
Oh,
Raffle.
Any teasers?
Not really, because there's no way to tease it.
Oh boy,
But it'll
that's
be
the
worth.
scanner.
Yeah, it'll be worth being a part of. And also we're going to split the proceeds. I don't think we've settled on where yet. There's a few options in mind, and then we'll pick something. We're going to be advertising all of this soon. But also, on the same day, we have our Makers Fair. And we have a parking lot we use regularly for the employees to park their cars. A couple of years ago, we had a tent built and had the tent put up. And so under the tent and along the side of Selfridge Street, we're going to have tables set up and different makers will be there. Artists, artisans, decoupage stuff, woodworkers, anything made by hand. So I think we have like 10 to 15 vendors set up to come, and they'll be here as well. And we don't charge for the tables, and all of their profit goes to themselves.
That's awesome.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
we just
pretty
want,
decent. Yeah.
Ralph's seen it, and Ralph, if no one's ever thanked you, I mean, you're a big part of this community. You've been here time and time again, always promoting everything. And we like that community atmosphere.
I think it's one of the most important things, especially in what we do. We like to say here on Bitten Apple all the time, we raise each other up.
Yeah,
the best way to
without a
rise,
doubt.
is to raise each other up. I help you, you help me. And I don't understand the whole competition thing, because we're not in competition. What I like or what you like is totally different. And sometimes, what you're doing and what I'm doing is totally different. My book and your book are not in competition. My role-playing game, your role-playing game, it is more of a thing where if we can all succeed at the same time, because multiple people are going to want multiple things.
I want to speak on that, because I think that's actually a really important point for any of us, be it in the comic scene, the podcast scene, or the business scene. I think we're all kind of like brought up with this idea that there's only one audience, but there's like a grand, there's an audience
Very
for
true.
everyone, and audiences can mix. And I think it's really important to build each other up, because very much in entertainment or in business and in comics, whatever, when you stand on the shoulders of people around you, but they're also standing on your shoulders, like it's linked. You all got to work together.
And
it's really easy to, right? No, it's really easy to get locked in that and think that you need to be better than someone else, and like compare as needed, figure out where you can be better, but don't put someone down because they're doing something good. How can you apply that to yourself and improve yourself?
And that's what comics are all about. Like, from the beginning, it's like, don't do, like, it's one of those weird things, like, don't do what Captain America wouldn't do. Like, don't be a dick. Like, it's just like, and with this industry, you find, you give what you get. You're nice to customers, you're nice to creators, they're nice to you, and it all bleeds in. It's a very tight-knit group, and you never know where things are going to come from. You could host something for a kids thing one day, and the next thing you have like one of the top artists in your store because he heard of that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no, you know, we sell comics, we sell Funko Pops, we sell statues, we sell hot toys, we sell action figures, but we don't just focus on one thing, because you know times change, people's tastes change, and no one's just into one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
I mean,
yeah, you know, you're into comics. Some people into comics are also into Star Wars. Now there are Star Wars comics, but we also have the figures, you know. So everything gets like this whole big web. Haha. And
hey.
and like you just enjoy it. The people get too tied up in like competition, and you know, even down to like Marvel versus DC. You know, like I joke around, I was like, because we have a sports store. Like when people are like, only Marvel, only, I was like, look, that's sports stuff. There you pick a team, you stand behind it, and you scream all you want. It's all blended together.
Yeah, I think it's really, I mean, again, it is fun to have a team and cheer for a team. But at the same time, as long as you're not like actually wishing
Yeah.
You're not
kill.
booing anybody.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
you know,
luckily-
you can, like, boo, but like, you know, don't actually wish illy on them. What am I trying to
Yeah.
say? You know,
We
what I'm
don't-
trying
we
to say.
don't-
Don't wish poorly on them.
We don't have the kind of like European football club culture. It's rad,
Yeah.
but like, you know, there's definitely more of a sense of just like, you know, some people like coffee, some people like tea, and sometimes like to go back and forth.
Yeah, and from a business standpoint, you know, which is not how I got into this. I was a fan. I married into the business. I married the girl who worked at the comic book store. You know, I love that.
Aw.
The dream.
What I've learned is you can't, you know, it's not up to my taste of what we sell. You know, you know, it's not just supply and demand. It's just you want the person who comes in looking for thing X to find thing X, buy thing X, and be happy with thing X.
You're adding to
It's
the
not,
culture.
you know, it's not like, oh, I'm a big Star Wars fan. You come in, you ask for something Star Trek-y. I'm not going to sell it to you.
Yeah.
You know, like that, you know, so like I've been in places like that where it's like, oh, do you have this? And they're like, oh, we don't sell that here. It's like, okay, well, now you're not getting my $5. So
Yeah.
like, the inclusiveness of the comic book industry is one of its best parts, even on a business standpoint.
Yeah.
That's true. That's really true.
That applies to us in, you know, our podcast, right? So you missed our intro. Basically, we're a TTRPG podcast that does a bunch of different systems. We started with D&D because that's kind of like the big net for actual
The
play
gateway
podcasts.
RPG.
Yeah, it is the gateway. It's how a lot of people get into tabletop games and everything like that. And we started with that because that was going to cast a wide net. But and like Casey and I started the podcast, and we kind of came from, we played D&D and that was it. But we wanted to try more, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do is, like, you know, put out different, you know, games, different stories, and different systems, so people can come in on the D&D and go, oh, what's this over here in space? Where are we? Like, you know,
It's funny too, because I think our Vampire the Masquerade game has the biggest audience.
Oh, by
No,
far.
I don't know if it was timing wise. I don't know if it's the story. I don't know if it's
Marketing.
because so many of the people that we've talked to have said, like, oh, Vampire the Masquerade, I've heard of that. I've always wanted to play, but haven't actually gotten the chance to play it or actually learn anything
Totally
about
check
it.
it out.
So people will check it out because they have heard of it, but haven't played or don't know how to play.
And so that's why you need that like wide net, like, you know, in your store. It's why you need all the different comics, because, you know, people come in on one type of comic, and then when they're perusing the shelves, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that this was a thing. Now I'm interested.
And it's just like, you know, and there's like so many things that, you know, back in the day we would call fads, but now they stick around for so long.
Yeah.
Like when the store first started, it was strictly like comics and baseball cards. And there's a weird thing that happens, like, you know, like in the night, like it was Beanie Babies. Like that was the whole thing, the store, like half the store, because at a certain point, people just keep coming in. If 3 or 4 people come in and ask you for something that you can get and you're not getting it, you're throwing money away.
Lost all that money, yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing that really hit like that was Funkos.
Yeah.
When Funkos first came out, we had a strip of maybe 4 across and maybe like 5 down, so like 20 Funkos.
Hmm.
Now it's a quarter of the store.
Yep.
It's still one of the biggest footprints in here. It's
And
one
honestly,
of our walls, floor to ceiling, is just Funko Pops.
Yeah, and Funko's succeeded where Beanie Babies failed, in which
Yeah,
people were like,
with
"Oh,
this-
this duck is going to be $400 in 10 years." Like, no, there are Funko Pops that are worth like thousands at this point.
yeah.
It's insane.
And that's
It's
the
nuts.
impressive thing is the lastingness of Funkos compared to Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
You know, like there's lulls in it, but as soon as they get a license and it's something slightly popular, it's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. That's
completely,
the nature of collectibles.
Yeah, and that's the part that's fun. It's like you hear something a few times, you start getting it in, and again, it's that like age difference thing too. Like when little kids come in all excited about something, and you got to tell a little kid no, like that feels horrible. It's like, oh, do you have this? And it's like, no, I'm sorry. It's like immediately on the computer, like, where
do I get this?
Because you don't want to disappoint. You know, I don't care telling an adult no, but telling a little kid, it hurts.
It's definitely a different feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the future that's coming in.
I think that thing on fads is interesting because I think like nowadays with the way that people communicate and how we have the internet, you have a lot more people discovering things. Like fads was like you had a niche and you had people that were like, oh, this is my cool thing. And also nerd culture was not as popular to begin with.
So
you
hidden,
got beat up.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's a lot more accepted, and then you also have people like getting older and then sharing it with their kids, and because the culture is more accepting. So it's just like the waves are a lot more wide because you're able to communicate and express that that joy that something brings you.
I'm happy you mentioned that because growing up it was like Mission Impossible trying to get things done. You have to be like, you're in the secret club. Make sure you don't tell anybody. How do you get more people? Look, man, I don't want to get beat up. Don't tell anybody.
I mean, like looping back to Ray, like D&D as a whole, like you went from the Satanic Panic to like so many toys and video games. I mean, my mom watched the newest D&D movie and she loved it. She has no idea what D&D is or anything in it, but she had a great time. She thought it was fantastic.
It's funny to
Chris
mention
Pine
that
on anything, it'll sell to the masses.
because one of the things I've always compared it to is a year ago there was Honor Among Thieves, the movie, and you go with a bunch of people that know nothing about D&D, and you know what? I like that movie. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it works by itself.
Yep.
I gotcha, because I do that funny stuff all the time. You know the part where they had this huge plan and you didn't know what it is, and they end up just grabbing the Aarakocra and flying out the window? We do stuff like that all the time, and it's great. And I kind of
see, but that's why that movie was so good is because it actually felt like you're watching.
Yeah.
It felt like behind the scenes, like you know that group of people because you were that group of people doing the crazy stuff, and that's why it kept going in those weird different directions. And I tell people all the time, it's such an excellent movie to showcase what actually happens in D&D.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's very cool because people might not give D&D a chance, although they're curious, but they'll watch that movie, and it's almost like it closes the gap of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll finally give that a shot.
Yeah. As opposed to Mazes and Monsters, that Tom Hanks movie where it's like, this whole
Mazes and Minotaurs, I think it was called. Or he's gonna jump off the bridge at the end or a building.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you die in the game, you gotta die in real life. Because that's
yeah, of course.
Oh my god!
You guys have definitely come a long way. Like I remember with comics as a whole, when I went through elementary school in the 90s, where I was from, comics were like the punchline to jokes.
Yep.
You were made fun of for that kind of stuff. It was different every era, but for me in that area, it just wasn't popular. And then you had stuff like Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Batman the Animated Series. Oh. The Spider-Man and X-Men equivalent, which is now X-Men 97, which is obviously shows how successful it was at the time and now. It's really crazy that you got to see these cartoons coming and people, okay, I like the characters, I still don't like comic books. Then eventually, by the late 90s, you had Blade in 98, and then X-Men in 2000, and then the big springboard that is of Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We come right around, you look at something like Endgame, and if you tell somebody that was in 2019 that movie came out, you tell somebody who's 19 years old, they're born in 2000, this was not popular 20 years ago. They wouldn't believe you.
I remember I was in high school in the 90s. I'm a little old. And I wouldn't read comics in school in like the lunchroom or anywhere because I didn't want to get beat up. That was just, it made you a target.
Yeah.
And I had to take the subway. So I would take the subway home, and that was no way I was reading a comic book on the subway.
No.
Not being, like tiny little 5-foot kid with like big glasses and stuff. And after high school, years passed, and then I started working in the city, and I was taking the subway, and this kid pulled a comic book out and started reading it, and I was like, "This kid's gonna get beat up."
I gotta
and,
beat this kid.
and then all of a sudden, I'm looking around, and like girls, there's like young girls reading Watchmen, some old dudes like pulling comics out of it. I was like, they're everywhere, and no one's. I was like so impressed with society for a change. It's like, oh wow,
they're giving us a chance.
Look on the subway now. And no one's gonna make fun of you. Nobody's gonna walk by and just be like, "What is this, man?" Yank it out of your hands,
Yeah, right.
It's been so socially acceptable to read comic books, and the same thing with like T-shirts.
Yeah.
Like I remember like wearing a button-up shirt over my Superman T-shirt because I didn't want anybody to see it, and then like one day being in Target and like there's a whole section of T-shirts now. Like it was a big change. It was a big fundamental change. And I think that's what led to, of course, a lot of the success of, modern comics stemmed from that whole post 2000s renaissance of movies, the cartoons, everything just got better.
Yeah. I give a lot of credit to, not just solely to, but a lot with Brian Michael Bendis. Just before you were on, we were talking about how the art excelled the writing, and then it was all
I caught some of that,
art heavy, but writers like Bendis in particular kind of brought the writing on parallel with the art again, so it wasn't so lopsided.
I mean, everything with Ultimate.
Opinion, I should say.
Yeah, there was quite a few. I wish I would have prepared for this better. Quite a few like writers who like made it through that era and dragged the stories with them. They fought tooth and nail to get stuff done, along with Brian Michael, like Joe Casey, Joe Siegel, Steven Siegel, I'm sorry, Joe Casey and Joe Kelly, Steven Siegel. Like they tried their best to elevate
Claremont,
to match the art. 100% right.
Well, I mean, I will die on the hill that Sandman is one of the greatest series ever written.
Yeah.
Like not comic, like just as a piece of literature, Sandman is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's just you have more writers like that making, that.
Yeah.
I think another thing to add to Sandman is you walk into that with no expectations. You don't have to, like, if that happened in Marvel, well, where's Spider-Man while this story's happening? You're not thinking of those things.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, more credit to Sandman than just that dynamic, but I think that's a very important dynamic to underline. Just recently, I never read Invincible, but I've been watching the cartoon. I walked into that with zero expectation. It's obviously not about the superpowers. The superpowers have been done before. Like, a lot of it is just like nothing new, but it's the story that really drives it. And a lot of these non-affiliated stories, like you were talking about dragging through the 90s with good writers. Yeah, you're not fighting with like Spider Clone Wars, or some of them were decent. Age of Robotics wasn't bad or anything like that. But you're not fighting with this universe around it. You could just do this little intimate story and be satisfied with it. You don't have to worry about any type of continuities, any type of paradoxes, or any type of thing like that. Like, that was one of the reasons I wanted just this mini series that I've written. It's just this small little package story, and that's that.
And a lot of people are looking for that.
Yeah. Here's a question for all of you guys.
There's like, Marvel, there was always Marvel and DC fatigue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
always been
done with continuity, done with reboots, done with fake deaths, all that. And
I have no image for it, but again, just my opinion.
And they were always looking for something like that. I want some. They'll describe something of Marvel and DC, but want it in a different package.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you brought up Brian Michael Bendis. Like I give Kirkman, I'm not a big fan of either one of them, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I give them credit in what they did, and I like Kirkman. You could between Walking Dead, Invincible now. The amount of people that got pulled in.
Yeah, they
try
breathe
something
life into it.
Walking Dead. I one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life was coming into this store when I was a customer, walking up to the new bookshelf, flipping through Walking Dead #1, and I was like, "Oh, what's this? A zombie book?" And they said, "Oh, it's 28 days later, but in black and white," and just put it back on the shelf.
I know you kick your butt for that.
That was my mistake. Same thing. I collected Invincible for a bit. I liked his take on Superman. Once I had to cut back at the time, so I dropped it, and then later on got it in trade paperback and loved it in that form. That's the way to do it. It's like the way he breaks up the story arcs is great little chunks. And they each had the best part of his Invincible run is the titles of the trades are all 80s TV shows.
Oh,
That's great.
Cool.
So volume 1 is Family Matters, and so on and so forth. It keeps going with all
I
different.
never noticed that.
But it does. They work for the story arc.
Yeah.
Like I part of when he travels into space for the first time, it's called A Different World.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved it, and those guys did re-energize the field.
Ralph, I know.
They said, you like Superman. Well, here's a version of Superman you haven't seen before that's way cooler, and they did all the things that you wanted Superman to do. The battles are more realistic. That's Jonathan Hickman, what he did with House of X and Powers of X.
Oh, House of X was phenomenal.
Yeah,
revitalized the franchise.
Yeah, when you were a kid and you were reading X-Men, you were like, why don't they just do this? And Hickman comes along, he's like, oh, we're doing this. And they gave you what you wanted instead of just schlock, which is what we were getting a lot of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph, I know you had a question for us, but I just wanted to jump in real quick and say my refrain with modern disappointments in not just comics, but in movies, shows, games, anything, is always just hire a writer. I'm biased because I am a writer, but I think the art form is undervalued, and a lot of people think anybody with a story idea can turn that into a full-fledged, beautiful thing. And it is a craft of its own. It takes a lot of skill and
it does.
knowledge
Almost
to do.
like we're steering back to the 90s where it's more art heavy.
Yeah.
You're writing you're highlighting there.
And I won't call it anything specific because I don't want to get canceled. But a lot of recent movies I've seen, I'm a big movie buff as well, and a lot of recent movies I've seen, I'll go and I'll be like, man, that was a really cool idea. The visuals were cool. The cinematography was great. Really liked all the performances. If only they had hired a writer, they could have had a movie instead of a fun slideshow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of different layers there. One of the interesting things about I can't use the right word. Ambition. That's what I'm looking for. The ambition Disney took of taking Marvel and then going somewhere with it. The main problem Disney had is they had a formula that worked very well with other franchises. It was so okay with Star Wars, depending on the shows and the movies. Some were good, some were not. Everything else they had was this formula's worked for them forever because it's all about merchandise. Having a character, liking the cute sidekick, selling a lot of dolls of the cute sidekick. When it came to Marvel, it didn't apply nearly as well. And the best way for me to underline this, and I think everybody will chuckle here, is imagine current MCU with Disney run and then making a Punisher movie. Well, he's going to have a cute sidekick. Everything's going to be dumbed right down. You're not going to get the Punisher you want, And putting
That's
all
why the Netflix series
opinions
works.
aside. What was that?
And that's why the Netflix series worked, because it was right before, I believe, right?
Yes, that's right. But I mean, put aside all political opinions, it's that formula with, like, I want to call it the twist of cute is almost imposed on these stories, and it doesn't quite fit in Marvel as it does with all of their other things.
Like, I saw that, I think it started with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where Guardians of the Galaxy 1 I loved. It was good sci-fi, it was good action, and it had comedy.
Yeah.
And then after that, it reversed it, and it was like, this is a comedy that has some good sci-fi and action in it.
Yes, I have a theory that Disney, when they bought Marvel, I believe 2012, in the comics, immediately the stories were massaged a bit, for lack of a better word. Characters, but I have a theory that in the behind the scenes with the MCU, they waited to really have any type of Disney style influence on the movies until they finished Endgame, because of everything leading up to the Infinity War and Endgame accordingly. There's very little you see as soon as Endgame is done, with the exception of maybe the third Spider-Man film. You can see Disney's like, okay, we got that done. Let's try this direction now.
And it's tanked.
Has
it's not going well.
There are some bright spots for sure, but overall,
look, a stone can only skip so far before it's,
I mean,
you know?
they're still
That's
making
the same thing they
billions.
did with Star Wars, though. They were like, okay, we know you love this, and this is actually kind of Disney-like, but we're gonna take all that, toss it out the window. We don't care about your stupid world that you've created here. We're gonna just want to go and do our own thing. And we're gonna go poop on top of your stuff, so we can get to where we want to go. And I feel like if they wouldn't have done that, if they would have actually had some reverence for the fact that these people are coming in to see the end of their saga, instead of like going, okay, F you guys, we're going with the new stuff. In my mind, I'm like, you should have just went with the new stuff and left the old stuff alone, and nobody would have bothered you.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think like we don't want your movie about someone on a desert planet who's going onto a giant spaceship. We want to have our movie about a person on a desert planet that's going onto a giant spaceship.
The crazy part is too, like, there's so much of Star Wars to explore that's outside of like even the Skywalker saga in general, that they're just like, no, we're gonna just erase the stuff that is good that you liked, and we're gonna make it slightly worse and put it up there because this is what we want to do.
And it's funny because it goes back to what Jonas was saying. It's like somebody goes, all right, man, let's get the monkeys out, let them type, and whatever works is gonna sit there and throwing at it. And then if you look at the three movies, you get the feeling, as you're watching the three movies, three new ones, that they're working while they go, which means that there's no real story going on. Yeah, and that's why you kind of lose it in the middle of there, because there's no story, there's no story arc, there's no hero's journey. They're just going, whatever works, man, throw it.
It's terrible.
I mean, one of the things that I'll say, like going back to, writing in general, is I think some of the best, at least TV shows that I have watched recently, like, a lot of them have a set endpoint when they're starting, or at least like very early on. And that's how you get the best narrative arcs, is where you're going. Because when you don't know where you're going, it usually ends up with a large gap of things that
just
aren't important. Yeah, it's all just kind of filler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest slap in Disney's own face was by itself. Like, Disney's so big. I was critiquing some of the newer movies. I forget which one you were saying, but it's like, it's so big, it's going to make a bunch of money rather. Anyways, it's kind of funny because it reminds me. I've got a coworker. He says this as a joke, but he says, "Hardworking guy coming through. If you don't believe me, ask me. I'll tell you." And that's kind of how Disney is, more or less. Like, we're so great because we're great. And then that sequel trilogy comes out. Big bag of mixed reviews, and then The Mandalorian just slaps that all in the face right at the end of the second last season, with Luke going through all of those robots, high-powered, what are they called? Assault.
Beautiful.
Those were Death Troopers.
Death Troopers, yes.
They're Death Troopers,
anyways, I loved the scaling of that story, like just that scene where these, like, Din Djarin barely kills one of them, and then they all hold up and they're going to punch their way through the wall. And then just to show how powerful a Jedi is, he just walks through the whole damn legion of all those robots.
Yep.
And effortless. And you don't expect it. And I mean, I personally, the feelings going through that X-Wing lands, just one X-Wing, oh, they're saying that on purpose to hype it up. And you see the black cloak, no way. And then you see that green lightsaber, oh my goodness. Everybody wants to see that. That scene alone completely destroyed the reputation of that sequel trilogy. Like, this is what we wanted. And you put all those billions of dollars, all those years and all that time, and people want that little episode more. You did something wrong, you know?
Exactly.
Ooh. I think that's what's good about, you know, the way...
Thanks, Matt.
The way that the fan response hits the internet. And I've seen it happen within TV shows where they can adapt to the fan response within almost the same season sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a good thing now, as long as it's valid. And like, you'll see, you know, the response to Star Wars, even like I'm a big Trekkie, and I've seen in Discovery where or Strange New Worlds, where they'll complain, they'll pick something and they'll be like, they shouldn't have done that. You know, one good example is they had hologram technology they were using for communications, and it sent people into an uproar. This takes place before the original series. How come they didn't have holograms on the original series? How come they didn't have holograms on Next Generation? This is ridiculous. And then a few episodes later, the captain's just like, I think we're gonna have to pull the hologram system out. It's not working right. It's glitchy, and just fixed it. That's it. No one
take one direction and stick with it.
It was just like real quick, stopped it. They never used it again, and it's like, oh, okay. So
that's a dangerous way to go, though, because as soon as you show that you can cave to like certain fan criticisms, like it's going to continue.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it's used properly, like in that case, I think it made sense.
Yeah. It can work. I'm just saying it's definitely a dangerous route to take.
Yeah, you do want to listen to your audience. You just don't have to follow everything they say, or you end up being like the DCU.
And that's the question there. Here's the question, because we've gone all the way back to the question I had. Do you guys feel like it's the fan base destroying the movies, or it's the movies destroying themselves? And we kind of answered a lot of this already, but I feel like the fans have a lot of blame in the direction that things are going, because they kind of, even if something's good and it's not what they want, the fans go, F you.
Yeah.
Seth
Get me in there. Get in there.
Get me in there,
Seth.
Get me in there,
Seth,
baby.
go.
This is where I'm born to play this role.
This is what I was born for.
Just before we become an echo chamber, I want to say I'm a Last Jedi lover.
Yeah, me too.
Love that movie. The only part of the sequels that was worth watching, it's the only part that had any kind of originality to it.
Yeah.
It really showed some gumption, and some, choices were made. You don't have to respect every choice that a movie makes as a fan. I'm going to echo some other statements that I've heard about the Star Wars sequels, and it's more like the original fans watched it in the 80s and they loved it, and then they saw the prequels and they took to the children the prequels. I was that child who got taken to the prequels.
Yeah, same.
I love them,
Jar Jar Binks.
and I love them. And then, but the older generation that grew up hated them.
Yep.
Hated them. And we're so loud about it.
I was 14, so I was kind of in between.
Yeah, but you see where I'm going with this. And then a new generation of Star Wars comes out. You take your children to that one, kids love it, and then adults hate it. Again, it's always it's this cycle where it's so tied to your childhood and your nostalgia, and then something changes about it. It grows for a new generation, and you're left behind. And
there's
I'm going to say this, is it the studio's fault? Not entirely. Is it the fans' fault? Not entirely.
Mm-hmm.
There are fans who are mean-spirited and take things to extremes.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need to be. They nitpick to things that don't need to be nitpicked for something as silly as Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's silly.
Very
It's
silly.
a funny thing. And then, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, finish.
Well, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, like my other soapbox I get on is, you know, the Game of Thrones ending where everyone was like, they massacred it. They had such a good thing and they ruined it. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes with TV. And they were like, they were writing a petition that was like,
How to refilm
you got to
it.
remake the final
Petition was
season.
crazy.
You got to redo it. And I was like,
Just take the L.
you have got to
Yeah.
be out of your freaking mind if
I
you
mean,
think they're
I
going to
think-
remake a season because a bunch of people signed an online petition. Like, get real. Just get real.
Seth, I have a theory. I'd like your opinion on this because I think, going off of your question there, Ralph, I'm sure all of you, correct me if I'm wrong. You know the theory about how Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a Sith Lord.
Oh, I love that
Yes.
theory.
Great theory.
So,
That's-
I'd like to dabble in this and go full circle. So after I heard this theory, I read the Reddit thread where the guy proposes it and then breaks down everything he saw. I rewatched the prequel trilogy, and I'm inclined to believe it was true, even though I don't have solid evidence. It'll probably never be confirmed unless George Lucas is on his deathbed. But
What a way to go out.
I want to let you guys know, you guys messed it up.
That would be the greatest. That would be the greatest screw you to all Star Wars fans to just
Jar
pop
Jar-
that
Jar
out.
Jar Binks was actually
the most powerful Sith Lord.
the most powerful. He'd be Darth Plagueis. But the theory was how he you see all these little minor gestures and people making bad decisions.
Mhm.
And I watched the entire prequel trilogy, and there's signs like very subtle, but it just adds to that tinfoil hat theory. For example, when Qui-Gon is being burned at his pyre, Jar Jar is all in black, and he's away from everybody and only next to Palpatine. Or after all of the flack that Episode 1 got, in Episode 2, when it's revealed that Dooku is actually a Sith, and he's walking on that planet where all the droids are being made with those cockroach creatures, Count Dooku is surrounded by Gungans, which doesn't make sense. But if you put Jar Jar in place there, and apparently Christopher Lee was put in like last minute, Dooku was thrown in like a big script change.
Huh.
I think that's a really good example, like you're saying, Raph, if that's true, of course, of there was so much fan flack that
About Jar Jar.
the franchise altered accordingly. It's a very interesting concept.
See,
I
that's
think
something-
having him be a Sith would have been a way better use of Jar Jar, though, because
Agreed.
it would be such a heel turn to character.
Yeah.
It's so out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the theory.
It's
It's
I've
supposed
actually-
to mirror Yoda, where they meet when Luke meets Yoda, and he's just this bumbling goofball.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
he's
becomes
just
the
like
High Master.
little
Apparently, it was
shredder.
supposed to mirror that, like on the negative aspect, of course.
Of that trilogy, I think it's Attack of the Clones is probably my least favorite, but there is something to be said about how they approach, hey, this goofy character that we created in the originals, Yoda, he's a puppet, but now he's young and he fights. How does he fight? Screaming, rolling up the wall, just jumping around everywhere.
Like a
Intense.
crazy person.
It's funny
I love
though, because a lot of people get upset when and it's one of my pet peeves. When people throw in like this goofy stuff, the fun stuff, the great stuff, and I sit there going, as a fantasy lover, as a sci-fi lover, why are you getting upset? Oh, it's not realistic. It's a freaking sci-fi. It's a fantasy. It's a comic book. What's with this realism? I hate this realism when it comes attached to these things. And you sit there going, why well, it's not realistic. It's a fantasy. It's a comic book movie. It's a sci-fi. It's not supposed to be realistic. Oh, but it takes me out of the movie. Dude, any good fantasy has a fun character, a funny character.
Suspension of disbelief.
Dude, in D&D, one of the best things we love is that fun character who ends up in our D&D campaigns, and it's fantastic. Or that fun character in a Vampire the Masquerade campaign. So I don't get it. I don't get this. It needs to be more realistic.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like with
okay.
the advent of this subject matter has been around for so long. and there's been multiple generations in it. And now I've lived through so many different iterations of things, and I'm realizing as you get older that the newest thing, it's not for me. It's not being made for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's being made for the next generation.
Yeah.
They don't care about me.
There's
You know, so there's certain things I go into, or I get it a lot here at the store where, you know, a customer or another thing be like, oh man, they made, I'm a big G.I. Joe fan, but like they made Snake Eyes a girl. And it's like, okay. You know?
Yeah, and
you know, like he'll be back. I don't mind. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I think people take like such ownership over things that like they own it, and how dare you make a change?
I think that
every damn comic book, TV show, and movie, it's about change.
Yeah.
I have a theory that
And moving forward,
the most disappointed fans, I have a theory that the ones that it really, really intimately bothers, I think their expression of something else going on in life.
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, this is my norm, and I have, you mentioned change. Well, all these other changes, at least I have this. Darn it, that's change too, you know? That's just part of life, unfortunately.
I think that goes back to what Rachel was saying a long time ago in a StreamYard far, far away about there being different audiences. It's not one monolith. It's like you have the thing has its audience. The new thing does not have the same audience. There's probably overlap, but every new thing is going to be targeted at a slightly different group. The parameters are always changing. People grow up, they move on, they change tastes, and the old thing still exists, and it's not taken from you if there's a new thing happening around the corner.
I tell people all the time, because I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but it's not my Spider-Man. You know, he's Tony Stark Jr. He's not the Spider-Man I grew up with. You know? And there's no problem with that Spider-Man. It's just that, you know, it's not the one.
My Spider-Man makes his own web fluid.
My Spider-Man is the '90s animated one who grew 4 extra arms.
I'm going to take Miles Morales every day. I'm going to call that my Spider-Man. I grew up with Toby, but I'm going to call Miles Morales my Spider-Man, even though I'm not a child.
I saw the '89 Batman movie in the theater with my dad.
My parents snuck me in when I was 5, but yes, I saw that.
I was like 11, I think. And like to this day, Michael Keaton is not my favorite Batman. At all. I think there's been better Batmen. I don't think that's my opinion. I don't like people who think like anytime there's a Batman movie being made, they should run and pull Michael Keaton out of half of a retirement to play the character.
No, they have to resurrect Adam West.
Yeah. Or
Exactly. Now for that one.
They'll have a Batman verse.
The Batsuit. Exactly.
You've got like Adam West in a coffin, and then Michael Keaton is a geriatric in a wheelchair, and we'll go through the whole line.
That's it. You know,
last
it's like,
line, of course, Robert Pattinson.
I think that's Batman Beyond.
You have too much reverence for a character that no one played. You know, like it's not a real character. It was based on a comic. It wasn't like there was an original person this was based on.
Who, Batman?
Yeah.
Zorro.
Wayne Bruce in Scotland, who wore Batman cowl. I'll look it up for you. Hold on.
But like, they're characters. It's like James Bond.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, you could get anybody to play James Bond. He's a spy. He has a role to play. The role will be filled. Yeah.
Everyone but Chris Pratt, please. For
God. Yeah. We're done with him.
Just kidding.
So that's that reverence for the character that you grew up with doesn't make you right.
Yeah.
I think the important thing to come out of this kind of conversation is to just like, you know, if you ever notice yourself getting really upset about something fictional, check yourself. Remember that they are characters and, you know, and it kind of applies to this as well as other areas of life. Like, you know, change is always going to happen. And if you're getting frustrated from change, figure out why you're frustrated.
And also, people can like other things. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have to like the same thing as
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
else. They don't have to like the same things you do. We can enjoy different things.
You don't have to see the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't have
You'll
to-
save
You don't have to
money.
give them your money.
Celebrate your
They're like
differences.
$60 these days for a ticket and
I've seen,
popcorn. Stay
people
home.
regularly collect a comic book, and all they do is complain about it. It's like, what are you doing? Read a different one. If you don't like what you're doing with Spider-Man, stop reading Spider. And that's how the market corrects itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it
Feel
bugs me out
inspired
because
and make your own stuff.
Yeah, they
That too.
only
What ends up
understand
happening-
money.
what ends up happening is people hate watch or hate buy, and then
Yeah.
they go, "Why did they make a sequel? Because you hate bought it."
You
You
I
funded
can't
this.
tell you how many
That's the problem.
times I've
You
heard
hate
at the
bought.
counter, I can't believe they're doing this in this comic. Can I order 5 copies?
Yeah. That's how we got Madam Web.
So, guys, I know that you, RP Jesters, I know you guys you had a little video that you wanted me to show.
Oh yeah, we got a trailer for our show. Here, I will share my screen. Okay. How do I this one?
For all those to learn what our show is.
Yeah, so it kind of just gives a brief kind of saying of what our show is. So here we go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Casey.
And I'm Rachel, and
And
we are RP
RP
Jesters.
I will allow the DM to retract the dragon.
We are a variety action play podcast, playing a range of different RPGs.
With each campaign, we walk you through the basics so you can try the game out for yourself.
And we showcase each system with our love of role playing and dramatic character driven stories.
Hey, I died for this.
Oh.
I literally died.
Now you must sleep.
All of my memory scans are on the ship.
We need to send them in now. Activate Team R.
I start firing my blaster rifle.
Every episode is only an hour long, so you know you can fit us into your week.
But we are jesters after all. We love the drama, but we also love to laugh.
And we live to entertain.
What happens with the rocket?
Flies.
Flies? It flies where? Where does it fly? Oh, okay.
You have been activated.
I can tell you right now, I know for a fact that I am invincible.
We gotta get this rock into the sun.
That's away
Just
from
like
the race.
Your guns and like towards the sun.
You have been activated.
Greg is my stepson. He calls me dad now. You just gotta accept it.
So let us invite you to our table.
Where our tales span a whole multiverse of drama and dice.
We are playing
Power in the Dark.
Naughty Crimes Division.
Into the whale straw.
Operation Frozen Dark.
The Forbidden Gift.
Midnight gravity.
Come story.
Stay for the jests.
And welcome to the Jester's Court.
You have been activated.
Never
I
get
love
tired
it.
of
That was
watching
really
Yeah.
nice.
That was really cool.
Never get tired.
I am
Thank you.
completely detached from the role-playing world. Totally. I haven't played since I was in high school, but that looked pretty cool.
You watch
Yeah, we
at
got
least
a
once
lot of
month.
great shows.
I like the display of the variety as you were talking about. You
Yeah.
did a good job summarizing that in the trailer there.
It was an
Thank
important
you.
part of it.
Clips from all of our different shows as well. So trying to make sure that there's a little bit of something.
Yeah, I couldn't fit absolutely everything, but there was something from
Yeah,
I think all of our main shows at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta say that was amazing. You know, just the fact that you were able to fit all that into one.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Jonas. Shout out to Jonas.
Jonas
Yeah, that's
killed
Jonas.
that.
I was gonna say Jonas. I was
Oh.
like, you're the one editing. I gotta say, you know, because I've done that type of project before, and that's not easy work.
No, it was fun. It was. I mean, the thing was like, we started was like we want to make a reel for when we went to PAX. So, I was like, this is impossible. But then actually, it came together pretty easily. The audio file, and then we redid it a little bit with the commentary as well. And the funny thing with with doing the trailer part of it, the video element was like. I had learned After Effects from doing editing stuff on the show, so I was like, I think I can probably make something simple. And then with every segment of it that kept going, I had a new idea. And toward the end, I was like, now the beginning just looks boring, and I got to redo the beginning again. And but yeah, I'm really proud of it. I love how it came out. Like I said, I mean, I watch it at least once a month just because I love.
Oh, that
seeing
was
everything
fun.
flash by.
You guys,
Yeah.
you did a good job putting that together. It showcases you guys very well.
Thank you. So yeah, check out our show.
Great editing from Jonas, and also great art from Andrew.
Andrew, yeah,
Oh
Andrew's
yeah, we didn't talk about
artist.
that, Andrew. You do all the art for the show.
What he does.
Well, we're an audio-only podcast. So
We have cover art, Andrew. We have cover art.
We do have cover art.
I'm all those thumbnails.
Look at
Yeah.
Casey.
But very
I
appreciated.
was gonna say you guys have to have some kind of artist because all this stuff looks cool.
Yeah, all the character art and cover stuff is Andrew. He does an excellent job.
Very kind of you.
I gotta say, for somebody who's played enough games, and sometimes you want to see what your character looks like. It's always amazing to have an artist on the team that can actually bring your characters to life, especially in a role-playing game.
That's the real reason we hired him.
Oh yeah, and you can just get in a chat with Andrew and like play a little goofball TikTok theme and just make him make whatever cursed imagery about your character for social media. We've had a lot of fun just like making him brainstorm and just go through a bunch of iterations of what your character is doing.
That actually is where one of our at LITT Expo we had these little stickers of one of our characters, Hesk, but the lump version, as Andrew calls it, which is now kind of taken on a life of its own and has become popular in its own right. So cursed art or not.
Lumpesk is also hidden there in the trailers, so
He is.
Oh yeah, see, it was there.
This is true.
If you guys don't mind, I want to show off the
Yeah,
book.
go for it.
Yeah, please.
What do we got?
Then I'll get out of here.
We like you.
No, don't rush out of here unless you gotta
Oh my
leave.
god, what a spaz. Sorry. In the beginning, I'm not used to doing it. You could ask Ralph. I was like so nervous.
Yeah, he was so nervous, but he's done great. Dude,
It's okay. We're outnumbering you, which means we're cushioning you with our crazy presence.
So, Marvel has Blood Hunt #1, which is their current crossover with vampires taking over the world.
I'm excited.
It also has a
vampires.
backup story with the Uncanny X-Men, the new series coming out post Krakoa, written
Oh,
by Gail
nice.
Simone. They have Marvel Voices, and for a younger crowd, Spidey and the Amazing Friends. Star Wars fans. This is a nice sample of a couple of different story arcs that are coming out.
Okay.
Oh.
I love that cover. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really
It's
cool.
a really cool cover.
Trying to see, like, I can't even
No,
manipulate.
you're good.
this
You're
one.
good.
No, you're
I think
Yeah,
Luke's
you
head
can
in
see it,
half.
I wonder what the
And again, like-
symbolism has to do with those light-colored lightsabers, because it kind of looks like it's halfway between good and bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
'Cause it's not a red Sith saber, but it's not
Yeah,
a
it's
traditional
off-
blue or green. Even though I know those aren't the only Jedi colors.
Yeah. This one like
Very
looks a
neutral.
little like a golden one or a yellow one.
I see red and yellow.
They
Yeah.
bleed in.
Yeah.
Young Jedi.
Adorable.
Cute.
Great show.
Who gave that teddy bear a lightsaber? That's a weapon of mass destruction.
This I'm looking forward to is Absolute Power. A lot of weird stuff going on in the DC universe right now. This is Failsafe. He's an alternate personality of Bruce
Oh,
Wayne
yeah,
of
yeah.
Batman. It's pure Batman. There's no Bruce Wayne. There's no consciousness. There's no care. There's no love.
Is it
Wow.
human? Is it a
No,
robot?
it's a
He's a
robot.
I think, right?
It's a robot that personality created. Okay. Huh.
Here we go.
Batman's parents were no. Batman created an alternate personality in case Bruce Wayne is ever compromised. So if he's being tortured and going to reveal secrets or anything like that, this personality kicks in and it's pure Batman. It
Love
has there's no humanity to it. It's just the aspects of his personality that Batman needs.
I foresee that as a future villain.
Yeah,
exactly. So
well, that's you get failsafe.
That personality gets downloaded into a robot that he built to be Batman, unbeknownst to Batman.
Interesting.
Then we have a Brainiac Queen. We don't know much about her yet. There's an ongoing Brainiac story arc in action in Superman right now that's going to reveal her.
Is this where we go full arc in conversation and get all angry? It's a female Brainiac.
Like, oh, that's not my dad's Brainiac.
All right, checks out to me.
And behind it all is Amanda Waller, and the reason it's called Absolute
Of course,
Power
he's behind everything.
from Suicide Squad. She's using these folks, and they're going to take out all the heroes. They're doing kind of like an ultimate like Patriot Act thing. Like all heroes are bad. We're going to arrest them all and detain them.
Oh, so that cowl that he's wearing is very Night Owl-y. Is there some Watchmen vibes in there?
Probably they're going to try.
They're going to try.
There's a Watchmen sequel.
Hard to replicate Alan Moore.
Batman cowl, how the ears shoot out sideways a little bit.
It's to, I think in the original Failsafe story, it's to mimic his original costume.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also
cool. Purple
to mess with Batman because that's the costume his dad wore for Halloween one year.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Barter's getting Big Barter from the.
Big Barter.
Okay. I like the art.
Yeah, this is one of those more young adult titles they've been doing with Titans and Raven.
Okay.
They had a few of them out, so it fits that line.
Is she on Apocalypse in that one?
I think so. I didn't read this yet. Well, that answers your question. Page 1.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. DC owns Mad. They're restarting Mad magazine.
They're restarting Mad?
Oh.
From a number 1.
It seems kind of weird without Alfred E. Newman on the front of that.
Yeah. To see a Mad magazine without that.
Oh, there's the top left corner. There we go. We got a little one.
Hey.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
The Energon universe.
Woo!
We talked about Kirkman before and his affecting generational things. He's now in control, images, but of the Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Right.
So that started with a title called Void Rivals.
I remember.
Which was like an alien sci-fi thing that seemed to have nothing to do with either one, and then they tied it in.
Oh, no.
They've been doing a Duke miniseries, a Cobra Commander miniseries, and an ongoing Transformers. And they're all linked together. The Duke and the Cobra Commander are like flashbacks showing you how the Transformers and G.I. Joe universe have been linked for a while. And now on to more indie stuff. We got Hellboy. You got a title coming out.
Dark Horse.
Day. Also, Stranger Things. Dark Horse has the rights to that. They've been putting out miniseries.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
The Worlds of James Tynion. So House of Slaughter.
Nice.
Something is Killing the Children. There'll be free samples of that. Gotcha, man.
Oh, there you go.
We're back to them again.
My Sentai in.
It's been long enough. One Piece has
there we go.
Nice.
Far Cry.
Cool.
Monster High.
Hey yo.
Oh, kid options. Yeah.
See?
Pokemon.
And the Loud
House.
House.
That is a lot of kid options. Okay.
Yeah, and this is like, I would say this
Start
is
'em young.
a little bit more than half of the books that are out. There are more titles. I just didn't.
I was going to say, I feel like you selected a couple.
Yeah.
Shelves are pretty.
So the shelves behind me will have full. This is usually where we keep the new books.
Oh,
When you
nice.
Walk into the store, it's towards the back. I'll clean off all the new books, and all the free books will be back here.
Yep.
So I don't know if any of you guys are going to come down. Feel free to.
I am.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Ray, when you get your book out, if you want to get in touch with us and drop off a few copies, we
I appreciate that. Thank you.
always support.
It will be done via mail because I'm out in Winnipeg.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You could. It's royalcomicsny@gmail.com. You get all my information from Ralph.
Okay. That's
And you
great.
can ship
Thank you.
some books out, and we'll
Royal
reimburse you. We'll sell them here.
They are big on the indie scene and supporting small guys.
Oh yeah, people walk in here all the time or reach out to us, and we always for that reason. That's what it's
Beautiful.
about. It's
Thank
a
you. I
community
really
thing.
appreciate that. Not to
If
be
I-
too
if I
Canadian
sell
there,
you-
but I did.
If I buy a
say
couple of
thanks.
your books and we sell them here, and somebody in Winnipeg is like, "Hey, I'm going to New York. Are there any good comic book stores?" Who are you going to say?
Royal Collectibles.
Royal
Like, that's
Go.
what- it only pays to help other people out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another full circle conversation right there. We should be
Yeah.
helping each other. Well, there's a Nordic phrase: "A rising tide raises all vessels."
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the attitude we should have.
Yep. So I'm sorry, I got to cut out. I got
Bob,
to.
before you leave,
Yeah.
one last time, tell them where to go. I'll share it up here. Hold on.
Come on down to Royal Collectibles. We're at 9601 Metropolitan Avenue. That's on Metropolitan and Selfridge, about 2 blocks off of Woodhaven. and it'll be this coming Saturday, May 4th, is Free Comic Book Day and Star Wars Day. So come on down and take part in the festivities. We're going to have the Makers Fair with artisans and artists and all different sorts of makers will be there, as you can see. And the Free Comic Book Day will have tons of sales, a raffle, and deep discounts on stuff. We go nuts. We love it.
Yep, it is amazing. That's why I go there every year, because it's an amazing free comic book day. And I'm going to be showcasing all of it, showing beautiful videos, and checking out all the guys in the Maker Fair.
Yeah, they really appreciate you doing that. Like, that's one of the things that came up when I was talking to people about doing this show. They were like, "Oh, the guy who interviewed us."
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." So again, I thank you, and most of the community does too.
It's always
and thank you guys. I mean, I feel like I got shoehorned in here a little bit, and you guys made me feel so welcome, and I really appreciate it. That was fun.
It's just a fault of, you know, you can write a comic by yourself, you can run a shop, but you need a couple people to run a podcast, so we're all here. But
and I would love to do this again. So anytime you want, Ralph, let me know.
Bob, you are always welcome.
Nice, thank you guys. Do I have to do anything to get out of this?
I think you press that thing that says
Leave
Leave
studio.
Studio.
Yeah, nice
Okay, cool.
to meet you.
Nice to meet
you
you.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope to see you
We
guys
should
again.
talk soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
That craft
Alright.
fair
Cool
looks
guy.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. The knowledge he has on comics, he has the right job.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ray, a couple of questions, because we're about to tell you to show off your thing one more time. You had a video that you send it through the present on the bottom?
I do have it ready to show. I have a trailer and I have a teaser. I don't know which one I should show.
You want to show both? Go right ahead.
Oh boy.
Okay.
You press the present.
Which one? A trailer or teaser first? You guys pick it.
Teaser first.
Teaser
Teaser
turns into a
first.
trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, get a little tease in here.
Okay, so
Little
let me
comic tease.
get
Spill
present
the
on
tease.
here. It's such a tease.
Everybody likes to be teased.
This one, share. Okay, so this video I'm going to show you, it has 3 of the 4 characters, and it has to do with them getting some information off of an individual.
Oh, I love this one.
You've seen it? Yeah, oh, right. Yes, okay, here. I'll just let it speak for itself.
Would you be able to tell me where you're going to pick up this fresh stuff? No way, man. You could save many lives here. I'd rather die. Death is a privilege which you will not be getting today. Are you crazy? Go for a walk. I can't heal everything our large friend is about to deal out to you. You can either talk to our dwarven friend here, or you can talk to me. The dwarf! The
I gotta say, I love this
That's
so much
awesome.
because it reminded me of playing D&D.
Oh,
Feel
yeah.
teased.
Yeah.
There was kind of like a you think the dwarf is the good cop, and then you
That's
think
awesome.
the large fella, his name is Madrakis, the lizard-like snake-like individual.
Mhm.
Well, he's the bad cop, and it turns out the guy healing him is actually the bad cop. I really like that scene.
That was a good
Yeah,
reveal.
that's
That was a
great.
really good reveal, yeah.
That's great.
And
It's always
yeah.
the lizard folk that goes in there and just starts it.
Right, the slurp-esque.
But it's funny because the dwarf is trying to sweet talk the guy and convince him into doing the right thing, and you can't see it well in the trailer, but when you see that panel for what it is, you can see the other two kind of gesturing to each other like they've done this before, and they just kind of execute, I guess, poor choice of words, but you know where I'm going with this.
Cool.
Here, I'll show that was voiced, all of those characters were voiced by the same person, Cable Foster.
Wait, he did all the
RPG
voices?
All-Stars.
Nice.
That was
range.
one voice actor.
That's rare. I definitely wouldn't have guessed that.
I
That's
thought
strange.
it was different people, yeah.
No, it's all one person. I definitely got my money's worth. I was really happy with how he did there.
Yeah, that's talent.
Major props, man.
Yeah.
Yes, big fan. I'll show the other trailer really quick here. Share screen. No. Yes. So this is just an overall summary of the look.
A brawny intellectual, a devout farmer, a good-hearted charlatan, and a social facilitator. This circle of friends shall reunite in their hometown, Ivywood. Before they can depart for employment, they are interrupted by a local drug problem which carries hidden, sinister undertones. Can they survive the night? And what is the source of this danger? The bond amongst these friends may be the only metric to answer such questions.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that looks
I
awesome.
feel like both of them explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That voice actor also has appeared on RPG All Stars. They're both out in California. I've played D&D with them a couple of times, and again, I feel I got my money's worth. It's funny, GM McLeod's of RPG All Stars, and Michael Towson, Disney voice actor. He has his own little D&D series right now.
Cool.
They both decided to help me out, along with comic creators Chance Edgerly and Chris Saloff. They joined me in a one-shot where I adapted the lore of my comic into 5th edition D&D. And we made a one-shot that was a prequel leading up to the first issue.
Oh, nice.
That's a good way to do a prequel.
Basically, it's the equivalent of Rogue One, where Darth Vader slaughters all the guys leading into A New Hope. That's basically the intent. My logic behind it is, in comic books, sometimes or in a lot of cases, it's superhero fantasy. People love superheroes in comics, but they don't really tend to lean into the fantasy genre. So if they don't know if they want to buy into this comic, they can watch that one shot and get a flavor for it. And basically, if you liked where this story went, it keeps on going in this issue. Or on the flip side, people that like fantasy that don't read many comics, they can watch the one shot, something they'll appreciate. And if they did enjoy the series and two of the characters are mildly in this one shot, if you enjoyed these characters, it keeps on going. Try and give this comic book a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm almost done. I'm trying to get it done tonight. We'll see how that goes. But I'm again super grateful. I got all this help from all this talent. It's been a really fun little ride.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, we launch tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. So basically 24 hours from now. Well, 1 minute shy of that, but 1 day from now, 24 hours, we launch. This is over 2 years in the making. Anybody that's a fan of RPGs and fantasy, I'm a first-time comic writer. If you're supporting this and supporting me, you are supporting one of your own. I've been a fan of comics forever. I've been playing RPGs for tabletop RPGs for well over a decade. I'm like one of those forever DM. I've played as a player once or twice, but if you buy into this is something you'll definitely relate to. We're already we have the pre-launch of course on Kickstarter, and if you are looking for a change of pace, we mentioned earlier in this stream about having a different change of pace of comic without any expectations. It's only 3 issues, so you're not having a new investment into yet another monthly series. It's short, it's sweet, beginning, middle, end. The ending, I swear, is going to be terrific, and the characters are all unique visually. Their personalities, as you saw a little bit in the teaser there, it's, in my biased opinion, you're definitely going to be getting your money's worth.
We love a biased opinion.
And biased opinions is what make the world go round, you know?
This is true.
And of course, like we say here all the time, if you go and sign up to get notified, it always helps out the project. The more people they have to sign up before the project starts, the better place the project starts. And the algorithm will see them in a better place, and it's free. To sign up to get notified is completely free. You want to help out a project and you don't have any money, sign up to get notified. It really helps out the project.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm doing it right now.
Exactly.
I really.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I didn't do and finish it.
And what
I'm not worried about it. I didn't do shit.
What I'll do to make it easier for you folks is I'll take this and put it into the comment section. That way you can't say,
Nice.
"But Ralph, I can't find it."
Tricks on you.
Exactly.
Ken.
All right, Casey. Well, Casey did it now. Rachel, why don't you hit him? I'll put up the RP Jester stuff over here on the side, and you can do the spiel this time. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll get the tail slate. All right, cool. Yeah, so for those of you who are still listening, we are RP Jesters. We are an actual play TTRPG podcast with hour-long episodes, so we keep it short and sweet to entertain you on your commute. Ayo. We do a variety of different games, a variety of different stories, but we are here to entertain you the entire time. You're looking at our website where you can find all of our information about us, including social links where you can find our show, a merch store where we are slowly coming up with new things that relate to our show. And if you're interested in a new cozy t-shirt, that's where you can find it. Additionally, we also have bonus content which relates to some of our shows that are coming out. Currently, there's stuff in there for Midnight Gravity, all narratives written by the one Jonas Tintinzer, who is also our game master for Midnight Gravity. If you don't know where to start and you want to start somewhere, you could pick any of our stories. Currently, Midnight Gravity is the one that is going out and is the most topical, but you can really start anywhere. We have stories from all different lengths, including Power in the Dark and Midnight Gravity, which will eventually be longer, to Into the Whalestrom and Delta Green, which are about 10 episodes, and we have all different stuff coming up.
Exactly 10 episodes.
There's actually, they all kind of vary.
9.
If there's actually a thing on our website, if you look at our shows, Ralph, because I think you're presenting that.
Yeah.
If you click on our shows there at the top, you can see a summary and scroll down of all of our shows and what they're about. So maybe if something piques your interest, you can check it out and then start from there. But yeah, that's
Looking
kind of
at Andrew's art, I have to say, are you guys considering maybe a comic book or something? Because
Okay.
Hell no. I will tell you right now, half of these were made the day before I was supposed to send them in.
Yeah.
But they were done amazingly.
Yeah, that's pretty good for that.
I was gonna say
Every time,
That's
Very
talented.
kind.
every time we're like, Andrew, we have 6 months to make these things because the show's not coming out till June, so we're gonna do it. And Andrew's just check in every week. Andrew, you good? Andrew, you good? Andrew, you good? And then the night before, he's like, I'm scrapping it. I'm redoing everything. It's like, all right.
well, it sounds a lot that I'm looking at it and going, "Whoa, they should have a."
Comes out. Listen, end product is great.
It's so cool. And Andrew definitely has a voice and style there, which is very Andrew. And I've loved everything he's put out.
Oh, absolutely.
That's very kind. Thank you.
So, folks, when you watch these guys, you get music, you get singing, you get art, you get acting, role play. Come on, folks, this is like a package and a half here. Go check them out.
We put a lot of effort and time into this. We really try to put our heads up above the grain. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We want to make sure we respect your time and that you have a good, full, as much as total and full of a good listening experience as you can have. That's why we put so much time into the editing, why we do all the music, all the art and stuff, is to make it as good as it can be.
You fellas mentioned potentially doing one live.
Yeah, it's something we're looking into doing potentially. So we kind of wanted to. I mean, the idea would be, very big audience, and we could do a live show featuring our cast and stories that pertain to like our podcast stories.
Have you
But one of
considered
my
doing it as a panel? at a
We
convention?
have, yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
That's something that
That's on our
something
list.
we're looking into doing potentially
Mhm.
in the future. But one of my fun ideas, which I mean, I actually get in touch with
Pocket Bard.
well, not Pocket Bard. No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're in
Royal
touch with a lot of
Collectibles in terms of locations, but
Oh, yeah.
basically
Oh yeah,
doing
good. They like doing stuff like that.
yeah, doing small little like
Mhm.
actual play live events, you know, with whatever cast. It just would be a fun thing. I know down in Maryland, if anyone's listening from there, a quick shout out to No Land Beyond. I know they want us to do something
Cool.
down there.
No Land Beyond in Baltimore, Baltimore's first board game bar. It's an awesome place.
Yeah, definitely,
Awesome
definitely
place.
check it out.
Great people, great drinks.
But
Great
yeah,
stuff.
it would be like a small actual play live thing to go
We
check out your
also-
local comic store. But
Yeah.
again, in development.
We also have done stuff on Twitch before, and we have more stuff planned to come out on.
Yeah, we do like
sure.
stuff.
We have. A
Ooh,
couple of
shout those out,
collabs.
Casey.
Yeah, we have a couple of collabs we're doing on Twitch coming up. We don't have set dates for any of them yet,
So
but
check the socials. Peek the socials.
Yeah, we are. The first one that we're going to be doing is going to be happening within the next month at least. We are going to be playing Love, Career, and Magic, which is a RPG board game type game, very fast-paced character game, where you are. It's basically D&D meets
A game show.
not a game show. It's a reality show.
Reality show. Excuse me.
Yeah,
good.
and that is made by Pegasus Games, who we met at the Long Island Tabletop Gaming Expo as well.
Yeah.
And
we
then
met a lot of really cool people at
that's where all of
LA.
this stuff is coming
Mhm.
from. And then in the fall or winter, we're going to be doing another live streaming thing with Hit Point. We are going to be playing their
Hit Point
RPG.
Games.
Yes, Hit Point Games. There's their Kickstarter. They have an amazing card game that is currently on Kickstarter right now. And the card game is actually the combat system for their RPG, which we will be playing in the fall or winter. And it is super fun. We got to play it at the expo, or some of us got to play it at the expo.
Yeah.
It's a great game. And I'm very
You killed
excited to
Casey.
see how it plays as a as an RPG.
I am totally excited to see that. I love the concept of using the cards for combat. Dude, because the card game alone is fun
It's
as hell.
so much fun. You could just play the card game, and it's so much fun.
And you can just play the card game.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you
That's what I'm
support
saying.
right now, if you go over there to the Kickstarter and support, you guys can actually play the card game. And their starter deck isn't that much money; it's only $40, and you actually get enough cards for 2 players.
Yep.
20
So yeah,
bucks
that's
a
a
deck,
live
not
thing
bad at
that's
all.
coming up, and then there's another thing. What's the zombie? It's
Oh, sorry. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Yes, the last one is 30 Seconds to Live,
Thank you.
which is another board game. It's a zombie board game, 2-player, but we're going to be trying to do it a couple of different ways, including with a narrator, having it be a bit more narrative, because the guys we were talking to over at, oh man, I'm trying to remember the
Kitten
name
Kaiju
of-
Games.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Kitten Kaiju Games. The guys we were talking to at the expo were saying that they want it to be super narrative. So we're going to be doing that on Twitch as well soon. Again, we got to figure out dates for everything, because everything is all kind of happening at once, but a lot of it is great stuff. So it's just a matter of scheduling.
Very cool.
If any of that interests you, definitely check out our socials. Follow
Yeah, we'll
us
be
on
posting
Twitch.
about it
'Cause
for
that's where we're
sure.
going to stream it. But yeah,
Twitch,
And then
all
all
of
of
that
that
on
is up on
Instagram,
YouTube. So
YouTube
check out the
VODs.
gram.
Yeah.
check out the threads too. I'm
Check out the
I'm
threads.
usually I'm the one on
Lots of
threads
friends on
recently.
Threads.
I've
Recently.
been on there a decent amount.
I try to be on Threads, but that's a whole other animal.
It
I
is.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It is an animal. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a social media person. I let these guys deal with it.
I've had to learn to become a social
Folks.
media person.
Unfortunately, I've got to step out, but I wish you all the best.
Right.
if-
No need to even worry. We're about to go.
Oh, you know what? I'll ride this out then. One thing I do want to throw out is if you're ever looking for any guests, I'd be happy to play along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are all invited to this show as well, because it was a great geek out today.
Great, Ralph. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having
Great
us.
time.
And of course, if you're looking for another player, maybe I might be able to find some time.
I might be able to squeeze you in.
All the things I do.
Absolutely, with that voice, of course you can come.
Oh hell yeah! All right, folks, I am gonna get out of here because we are way beyond.
We had too much fun.
We had way too much fun today, folks.
It's a bad symptom of a good thing.
And of course, on this show, it ends like this.